Exactly.
Okay, got it. Good, sorted. Okay, I think then we are now live. Hopefully, we're now live. I will just talk for a few seconds in case it took a while to get live. But yes, so welcome everybody. Thank you for your patience. Apologies that we started a bit later. As we were just saying, we may have an expert in prehistoric technology here, but modern technology is evading us today a little bit. So we had a few technical issues, but we are here now. My name is Matilda Siebrecht. I am the director of EXARC, the Experimental Archaeology Society. And here with me is Markus Klek, who is a expert, as I said, in prehistoric technology, ancient technology. And we will be talking today about his recent expedition, Nordic Walkabout, that he took to Sweden. So some of you may have seen our previous video where we interviewed Markus before the expedition about what he was planning and what he was expecting. So now we will hear how everything went well, went wrong, went according to plan or not in that respect. So welcome, Markus. And you have sent me some lovely pictures that I will now hopefully share so that everyone will be able to see it. Okay, it's just loading. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So what do we have here, Markus?
Yes, what do you have here? Yeah, welcome and thank you for having me on. And I thought I'd share a few images in the first few minutes, and then Matilda will be asking me some questions, and we can also have a question and answer. And so, yes, the first image here I chose is my equipment. That's the whole outfit that I brought along. So I think this is kind of interesting. Now I can't use my cursor to show what's happening, but if we start at the bottom, there is like a big reindeer skin laying there. It's a gray reindeer skin right at the bottom. This was my sleeping mat, and also I would pack my gear in this reindeer fur, and then put that on the sled, on the wooden sled that you can see above. And to the left of the reindeer skin, there's three bags. That was my bags for food. And they went into the reindeer skin together with some tools. And this is what I would lug along on the sled. Above the food pile, you see my boots. They are made from brain tanned red deer winter skin, winter hide with the fur on the inside. Above those, the inner boots made from felt. And you see me laying there sort of with my pants on, with my fur pants, also really warm, made from red deer winter with the hide with the fur on the inside. And above that, I'm wearing a leather shirt, brain tan leather shirt, and then on top with a hood also, a fox hide cap, and also my snow goggles. And then you have a spear. You see a spear there. That's also my walking stick, and you could also take that apart and only use the top part, the insert, as a sort of as a knife. And then we have my snowshoes. And to the left of the snowshoes is my Iceman-style backpack with my sleeping bag on. And the sleeping bag was made from reindeer skins. Next to that, you see a buffalo horn, the black thing. That was very handy for getting water. And a little bag with some tools. Next to it, my gloves. And also a snow shovel made from a scapula from a cow. That was very handy. And above that, the white pile there, that was also very useful. It's a long sleeve shirt made from rabbit skins. And then what's left? Oh yeah, above the wooden sled, there's also a pile of fur. This was my to the right, the bottom right. That is the thing there. That's also a fur coat, which I barely used because it was too warm for this fur coat. Yeah, so that's the first image, and maybe we can skip to the next one. Here, this is the food I took along. You see, it's all dried goods to reduce the weight. That was the main issue. We have some really dried, hard, greasy sausages to the right. This is some things that friends of mine make. Then I have some dried fish in the center. And to the left, to the bottom left, is hazelnuts and all sort of dried fruits. And above that, some greasy bacon. And to the very top in the background, the black stuff, that's also it's dried meat, deer meat. So this is what I had. I had about 6 to 7 kilos of dried food, and it was too much. I could have taken less, but this is what I brought along. And then the next image, yeah, you see me here using the spear to cut things with, to cut some of my food. And this in the center is actually a reindeer heart, a dried and smoked reindeer heart that somebody gave me along the way as a gift. So I took that along too. And then, yes, this is the sled now packed up with all the goods. You see the reindeer skin at the bottom, tied together with the luggage inside. And you see the spear, and on top, that's the coat. And I had 2 pieces of leather rope, of reindeer leather rope, to pull the sled. And we have the neck. Yeah, this is basically how I walked around most of the time. I produced quite a lot of heat while walking, more than I expected. So I was usually more warm than cold during this trip. And you see, got the backpack on, got the snowshoes, and in the back my sled. And the white thing is this rabbit skin shirt that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, I had sunshine. I had some really nice days with great views and wonderful weather. And yes, maybe the next image, Matilda. Yes, here also you see this is also already up in the fjell, that's what it's called. This is above, almost above the tree line. There's the Kalfjell. This is where you really have no more trees. And this is sort of the zone in between there. You still have some trees, but it's fairly barren up there. Yeah, and this is the Kalfjell. There's no more trees, lots of mountains. And I covered, in those 14 days I was out there, 14 days, I covered about 200 kilometers. I also had to take some breaks in between for a few days. Yes, the next image, please. Yeah, it's this again, just the sled and some ideas of what it looks like, the landscape that I passed there. Yes. Yeah, so like I said, I sometimes got too hot, because I had temperatures from ranging from just above 0 to minus 15. I think that's the temperature range I had there. And so when you walk all day, you get really hot. So sometimes I would even walk topless. It was not a problem, even with degrees or temperatures below freezing. And of course, there wasn't always sunshine. I had the classic whiteout also. You can see I'm standing there in the landscape, and there's no, you don't see anything. There's no contours. It's all white, the top, the bottom, left, and right, which is really hard to navigate in this kind of weather. But that's also what I had for a few days, fog and whiteout. And here's like a little, yes, idea. I don't know if we can hear if we can get the audio also on this one. I actually don't hear the audio, but I don't know if you hear it.
Sorry, just resharing again, but with allowing audio. I forgot to do that last time.
Thank you.
Okay, hopefully it works this time.
Yes.
Oh man. 2 days of storm and 2 days of fog. I mean, I'm gonna turn a little the camera here so you can check out the scenery. You see anything? Nor do I. Nothing to see except that little hill there in the back. Yeah, That's how we got nothing since 2 days, and it's like around 0 degrees, so everything's kind of soggy and slushy. And yeah, check out my boots. They're like they're completely losing shape, like, I don't know, pancakes, like slushy pancakes. Oh, it's really, well, what can you do? Hope for better weather. Better weather. Ha!
Yeah, so just for the last image, it's I really had a problem mostly with moisture and not so much with low temperatures. And I think it was really hard, especially on the boots, because for 14 days the boots were either wet or frozen. Yes, here you see like a typical camp of mine. That's in the middle of nowhere, and I did not bring a tent. So all I did is throw down some sticks, and on those I put the reindeer skin, and on the reindeer skin I put my sleeping bag, and that's like a classical night camp. And I thought if we see the next image is kind of interesting in the sense of what's left of a camp like this. There's only the twigs. That's all that's left. And you can see on the left corner, there's a piece of leather string, right? So this is, of course, archaeologists would not find anything of this camp, I suppose, but that's what's left behind. Basically nothing but some little leftovers of equipment. And I usually also did not light a fire because I did not bring anything to cook. I did not bring any cooking gear, and I did not need the light to do anything. It was never that cold that I needed a fire. So fires, I think I lighted 2 fires during the whole trip. Okay. Yes, and you can see it was not always warm. I also had some cold days. As you can see in my beard, the moisture freezes. And this is again a wonderful day. I have to cross a big lake. And the next image also shows some wonderful images of or the tracks from a wolverine. So I did not personally see any animals during that trip, but I had a lot of nice tracks, and quite a few times tracks of a wolverine. So for me, coming from Germany, this was very special. Yes, and here again in full gear, of course, for the weather being like this, and when you walk in the snow where there is no shade, I was really happy. I had my my snow goggles made from red deer antler, yeah, Inuit style. And yes, some things broke during the trip, and this was the main part of equipment that needed constant maintenance at the end of the trip were actually my snowshoes, where the rawhide webbing would wear out, and I would have to fix them basically daily. I think the next, and that might be the last image also. Yes, you can see I could use my spear also to cut meat, and also it was my knife to fix and repair things. So the snowshoes were the main part that needed the most maintenance. And I think and my boots. Yes, that's the boots after the trip. The boots held up really nice, even though they got a rough beating with all the moisture. But you can see the seams were kind of exposed at the heel. It wasn't really bad. They did not get a lot of abrasion on the sole because I was wearing snowshoes basically all day. So yes, now I'm examining my equipment, seeing what needs to be changed and what worked very well, and so I know for the next trip, basically. And yes, that was it in a short one with the images. And I guess Matilda has some questions prepared now.
I do, if I can unmute myself. Thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing them. That was fantastic.
sure.
That was really funny. The whiteout picture really looked like one of those kind of professional photos that you get with, no background and thing, that you've
Yes,
been superimposed on the
Yeah, it
background.
looks like I'm just
Yeah.
And it's really, it's not. I did not take an image of there is actually something in the back. There would have been mountains and everything back there, but as you
Wow.
could see, you don't see a thing.
Oh gosh, amazing. I mean, that must be just quick. We have a couple of questions, but my own question. I mean, were there ever then any days where it was just impossible to navigate and you had to just wait it out?
Well, I had 3 days of storm where I couldn't move at all. And so the storm I waited out in a cabin with some other travelers that also got stuck there. And the guy who hosted the cabin, he recommended to everybody not to move during that time. So we were stuck in the cabin for 3 days, having to wait out the storm. And when it got better, then we still had the fog and the whiteout, but at least I was able to continue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, interesting. So we do have, I'll go to this one first, just in case we run out of time. But so from Frank Veersma, asking about your trousers. Did you sew the trousers,
Yes.
or did you go for the legging loincloth combination? And related to this, did you notice any practicalities for answering nature's call? Beautifully put, Frank, by the way.
Yes. Yes. Thanks, Frank. Well, no, it was really like it was trousers, because I assumed that I might have up to minus 30 degrees. And so with the clothing, I went more after the Inuit style. And I figured I needed something closed. And also because I know that it's a very windy and stormy area. So I figured the clothing has to be closed. I would not. I could have done it because it was warm enough with leggings, but I didn't know, and I had to prepare for really low temperatures. So I went with regular closed pants in that case. And nature's call, yes. Well, of course, I did not take any toilet paper. I also took some images of the material that you could use as toilet paper. I didn't show that. I have a lot of images, so I had to make a choice. But there is this special kind of lichen growing on the trees. It's a very, very long and black lichen. I don't know what it's called. And this actually was very handy to be used as toilet paper. Yes. Plus, you have the snow. If you have really nice fluffy snow, you could use the snow also. But most of the time, it was really like harsh, or it wasn't the right kind of snow that you would want to use.
Oh, so, on any area, but especially on that area.
Especially not on your behind. Exactly.
Yes. And actually, I had a further question related to clothes, in terms of, because you mentioned it was a lot warmer than you thought, and when you showed the pictures of all of the different clothing items, there weren't actually too many layers. Do you think that more layers would be more practical in that respect, or do you think that the kind of choice that you made was still very practical?
Yes, I had 3 layers prepared. I would have worn the rabbit skin fur shirt first, and on top the leather shirt with the hood, and then on top of that the fur coat. So I figured this is as much as I can do if it gets really cold. But in the end, most of the time I wore just the rabbit skin shirt. And if it got too warm with the rabbit skin shirt, pulling up the sleeves and everything, then I would take the shirt off. And this actually worked really well to walk around without a top.
Okay, yeah. And so you already mentioned that you did meet other people. Someone gave you the reindeer heart. You met people in the cabin. What was the general response or reaction to people meeting you? Because I imagine they weren't also on Stone Age expeditions.
No. Usually, of course, they were surprised. People were surprised, but most of them were really interested. And I think the Swedish people that I met, they were not in a sense shocked or something. They thought, okay, interesting, this is cool. And they asked me, your sled, because they also use sleds, they use the commercial sled. So we had these encounters of me in Stone Age gear. and they doing the same thing, but with modern gear, and they wondered, okay, why I didn't use any skis, why I use snowshoes. So we had these like technical conversations. Some people already had heard about it because they talk on the phones between these cabins, and they said, okay, you might meet a Stonish guy who's walking around out there. And but some people also just passed me by without stopping, just saying hi, and they continue like I was just a regular traveler. Yeah. Yeah.
And in terms of, because our last video, I remember we talked a lot about the previous trip that you had done and what your kind of expectations were based on that and how you expected things to go then in this trip. I can't remember exactly all of the things that we talked about, but were there any kind of outstanding things that you think now that you think, yeah, that went very differently to how I expected, apart from, of course, the temperature, which we mentioned already, but is there anything else that was unexpected?
Yeah, it's definitely the temperature. And then it was also that I was always thirsty. That's a thing I did not expect. That's how it was. I was always thirsty. And as I did not take a water bottle because things freeze, I had to rely on eating snow, which is okay. It gets you, it's okay. But you're still thirsty. You can't really like drink something so I had to rely on open water sources, which were there on occasion. But that was something, was a constant feeling during the whole trip. Okay. And also I realized I did not eat a whole lot, which I also thought was really strange. The first 3 or 4 days, I barely ate anything. And afterwards, I ate, but not a lot, as you would expect when you exercise all day, you're moving all day. Also, it's the cold temperatures, you need more energy. So, but to me, it felt like I didn't eat all that much, and I did not lose any weight or not much weight. So this I thought was kind of odd. I don't have an explanation. Yes, it's the heat, it's the water, and I think that's probably the main points, I would say.
Okay, yeah, no, interesting. And so if you're then planning, another expedition to, I don't know, Alaska or somewhere, the Rockies, the mountains, would you, because this one you already knew well, although it's difficult, I guess, in different climates. Sorry, I'm thinking about my own question at the time. I was about to say, do you think you would less plan for cold? But of course, that depends on the region. So that's a completely silly question to ask. But would there be any other, so would you think, okay, I have to take some kind of water receptacle, for example, or anything like that?
Maybe no, because I realize if you really want to reduce weight, you have to live with some things that are uncomfortable. For example, I did not take a cooking pot because it didn't fit the time. I said, well, but so what? Let's take it because you need something hot. But you can get by without having something hot. Yeah, and you can get by without having a water receptacle. So if you start to make it more and more comfortable, you will be schlepping more and more stuff. And I think that's not really authentic people. We know this from indigenous people. They travel as light as possible, and they just feel what we would nowadays call uncomfortable. But that's just how it is for them. So if you try to make it all comfy, then you're ending up lugging a tent, all sorts of extra things. So I probably would not do it.
Which actually relates to my next question, which is, do you have any kind of, I don't know, any further insights after having had this experience? Is there anything that you maybe, I don't know, not necessarily thought about people living in the past, or, any stereotypes or any kind of misconceptions that now since you've experienced it, you have new views or new insights onto how people in the past might have managed this kind of trip?
Yes. I would say the main, or the thing that comes to mind is the fire issue, because I know that this is something that everybody, and myself included, thinks is a really important thing. It's like if you're out there, you need fire, especially in the winter. Without the fire, You need fire for light, to cook the food, for all sorts of things. And of course, this is true, but not on a daily basis. As I have found out, is the fire necessary? So this was kind of new to me, especially in an environment like this, that you don't necessarily need to have a fire. And it's not only the temperatures, it could have been lower temperatures, I know this, and I still would not have started a fire because I just didn't need it. And it's a lot of extra work. You need to collect all the firewood, which is not easy because you don't have it on the floor, on the ground. You have to pick it off the trees. And yes, so that's one of the main, or one of the things I would say, okay, fire is good, but it's not necessary on a daily basis.
Interesting. And actually relates to, we have another question that's come through, which you sort of answered, but if maybe you can expand a little bit. Did you have issues with being too warm at night or not warm enough at night? I could imagine sweating and then laying down in sub-zero temperatures might be problematic.
Yes, that's a thing when you're moving a lot during the day, that you may build up moisture. And of course, this sort of clothing does not, the moisture does not evaporate very well when it's fur clothing. So, but what you would need to do, or what I did, I don't know what people in the past did, is you just take breaks. You try to not build up too much of a sweat. You try to have the moisture evaporate while you're on the move, so you don't suddenly stop and you're all wet and you're getting cold. So this would not make any sense. But I had an issue with the moisture, that it would build up on the inside of my pants and it would start irritating the skin on my legs. And this was a problem. And I realized, okay, if it gets worse, I really have to do something about it. But it kind of leveled in at a degree where I could handle it, where it was okay. But yes, so the moisture has to evaporate while you're on the move, and not when you're stopping.
Yeah.
Or that's at least how I dealt with it.
Okay. So we do have a few more minutes, by the way, if anyone wants to send in some last minute questions. But my sort of final question that I have here is, if a viewer wants to, go Stone Age, like you, or sort of investigate prehistoric technology or ancient technology types, how would you recommend kind of starting? Where can they meet fellow people? How can they get experience in that?
Well, I would say, of course, to become an EXARC member would be a good start.
Oh, what a great and unsolicited suggestion.
But it's really true, because there you have a whole big community where you can pick your special interests. And of course, I would start slow. Start with your what interests you the most, and then start to build up your skills, and do your own experiments and make your own experiences out in nature. And also, of course, learn from the pros, take classes. At least that's what I did. Read a lot of books, and yeah, I think that's how I would go about it.
Oh,
or come with me to Spain this this May and June.
We do, and I'll post the links in this video for Markus's contact information, Paleotechnique, I believe it is called, your company, your website, and you can also follow him on social media. We do actually have one last question that's just come in from someone, Jens Schrabacher, who joined a little later, but I don't think we did talk about this too much. Maybe you could just reiterate a little bit. Was it possible to determine the daily energy requirements, so food intake and weight loss? So you did mention you didn't eat as much as you expected. Do you think that was just, I don't know, because you were too busy, too focused, because you actually didn't need it?
Yeah, I really can't tell. It's I already had this experience on the last trip, and I thought, okay, this last trip was only a week, so it might be something, I don't know. I can only talk about this week. Now this trip was 2 weeks and it was still the same situation. So I really can't tell. I mean, usually people tell you, I think, around about you need 3,000 calories a day in the winter when you exercise. I think I read this somewhere. And this is like 1,000 more than you would usually need, like the 2,000. I'm not too much into numbers. I took a lot of food, and I could just tell that I did not eat as much as I expected, and that I did not lose a whole lot of weight. So this is up to some specialists, that deal with these kind of issues to figure out what that means. This is only the experience that I had. I did not feel weak. I did not, I could have continued the trip. So yeah, that's all I can really say about this from my experience.
No. And if anyone else did join later and is curious to know more, you can watch this video afterwards. We'll be posting it on the Exarch channel, so you can go back and see the photos that Markus shared at the beginning, which showed his food and the different equipment that he had as well in that respect. So I think that was then everything. I'm just double checking that no more last minute questions have come in. No, I don't think so. But yes, well, thank you so much for coming to chat to me again and sharing your experience. And as we said before, if anyone is interested in finding out more, you can follow Markus through his social media accounts. Markus Klek, I think it is, in pretty much every platform, right? Yeah. And then
Yes.
yeah, Paleotechnic, which we will post the link in this video as well. Apart from that, I don't know, did you have any final words of wisdom, words of advice that you would like to share with the people watching?
No, but I can say it was a really fun trip. I had some worries at the beginning, that I couldn't make it, that it would be too cold, that it would be too remote, all these sorts of things. And I can just encourage people that want to do things, be well prepared, but do it. And for me, it was super, and it was a great experience. And I thank you, Matilda and Exarch for having me on again.
Yeah, perfect. We are very excited to follow any future projects as well. Well, then goodbye, everybody.
All right.
And thank you for listening in.
Take care.
Bye.